So in this video, let's talk about making mindfulness your default state of being. I'm sure you've heard all the wonderful benefits of mindfulness. Whether you're into spirituality or not, it's been the buzzword of the last 10 years. Why is mindfulness so beneficial? Because it gets you out of thinking. It gets you out of suffering. Where's all suffering coming from? Thinking, ruminating, thinking of past and future, shoulda, coulda, woulda, all these fantasy realities we torture ourselves with. This moment right now, nothing's wrong. Literally right now. If you're watching this video in the comfort of your own home or wherever you're watching it, nothing's wrong. Strictly speaking, nothing's wrong right now until you start thinking something's wrong, until you start thinking of your problems. This is where all the suffering is, here. So how do we anchor it here in the body? Mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness and meditation are basically the same thing. What is meditation? The formal practice of mindfulness. You're taking 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour out of your day and saying, look, in a controlled environment, I'm going to sit here, focus on my breathing, focus on the feeling of existence, focus on something I'm hearing. It doesn't matter what you're focusing on, but you're saying, look, I've allotted this amount of time to be mindful. Mindful of your breath. You might get distracted by thinking. Well, you will get distracted by thinking. Bring it back to the breath. Get distracted, bring it back. Don't get so annoyed and serious about this. This is a practice. This is meant to be fun. This is meant to be progressing at something slowly in time. It's okay. Like I mentioned in the other video, damn fly. Like I mentioned in the other video, the true definition of success is saying, I'm going to sit here for 20 minutes. Whether I'm thinking a lot or not, it doesn't matter. Just get through the 20 minutes, 30 minutes, hour. That's success. Showing up, forming a habit, day in and day out. Once it's a habit, you won't have to think about it anymore. You just be in the routine of, I'm here to meditate. Some days will be very mechanical. Some days will be really good. You'll have a calm mind. You'll say, I'm making progress. Yes, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is showing up in meditation, in exercise, in anything in life. So if meditation is the formal practice of mindfulness, what is mindfulness? The informal practice of meditation. By that I mean, naturally, when you're engaged in the world, when you've got to do something important, your mind is naturally going to go into that task, doing that activity. Or if you're interacting with a person, your attention is naturally going to go into the person. No problem. This is practical. Practical things or practical conversation, fine. But what about all those moments in time when you're not doing anything that requires attention, that's very repetitive? Where does our attention generally tend to go? By habit? When our attention isn't required in people or the world, where does it go? Thinking. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, egoic thoughts, suffering. It takes this perfectly calm, no problem, present moment and creates problems through thinking. But how do you stop doing this? When you catch yourself doing this, this is where mindfulness comes in. Basically what I'm going to say is, this is my default state of being at this moment in time, after over a decade of meditation and mindfulness. My default state is in the present moment now. I don't have to think about it. Like I said, when something requires attention, your attention goes into that thing or that person. But when your attention is idle, when it's relaxed, when it's in a repetitive state of doing something, just say walking. Where does my attention go? Automatically, either into my breathing, into the feeling of my feet walking, into the sun on my face, into the breeze on my face. I'm not controlling where it's going, but basically, it's always anchored in the body, always anchored in how I'm feeling. If it does go into thinking, there's two options I have. If it goes into practical thinking, I need my car serviced, I better book it. Something practical, that's fine. But if it goes into, why did that happen? I should have done it that way. When it gets egoic, when it gets shoulda, coulda, woulda, I'm like, no. Out of there, back into the body. Because our mind likes to drift off into these stories and create suffering. Thinking is a beautiful tool. It solves practical problems. But when all you do is think, it's creates suffering. I don't have to tell you this, you probably know it. So getting back to the main point, how do you make this your default state of being? Meditation every day. Like I said, just take time out of the day to do it. Doesn't matter if you're thinking a lot or not thinking at all, just form the habit. And I promise you, and if you have been meditating for a while, you'll know this. In the beginning, it's annoying, it's boring. You think, what's the point of this? But over time, you'll find the benefits. You look forward to it. You'll realize, this is peaceful. And then you start thinking, how do I carry this peace into day-to-day life? And that's where mindfulness comes in. In those idle moments of boredom, of repetitiveness, if you catch yourself in thinking, you go, hang on, is this thinking required? No? All right, anchor it in the body. How's my breathing? Apparently we have 10 or 20,000 breaths a day, but how often do we even focus on one, especially if we're not spiritual? How's my breathing? How's the feeling of existence, knowing I exist? What am I hearing? When you start consciously doing this, when you catch yourself in thinking, guess what happens? Like anything else in life, it becomes a habit. My default state of being is just this, by default, in the moment. And it's so beautiful. If you can find interest, if you can focus your concentration on something as boring as your breath for an hour, everything's a bonus from then. When you're interacting with everyday life, everything's more interesting than your breathing. It takes your attention away from thinking into the moment, into what you're seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, and you notice the little things, especially with people. You'll notice if someone has changed their hairstyle a bit or wearing something different, or you can also notice their emotional state. You can pick up, they don't seem happy today. You're very aware because all this attention that was going here starts going here. You're very mindful, perceptive, sensitive to your environment. You become like a child again in a sense. You have a new appreciation of life. If you can appreciate your breath for an hour, all this is a miracle. All this becomes amazing to you slowly. How do you get there? Like anything else in life. Anything worth doing requires repetitiveness, practice, seeing the value in it. A lot of the times we don't want to meditate because we think, what's the point? This is boring. I could be doing something else. What? Doom scrolling on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram? How is doing this achieving anything? Like I mentioned in the other video, you're just being fed other people's thoughts, other people's opinions, other people's photos. How is this helping your life? Really? Come on. And don't worry, I know why we do it. Because we're addicted. We're addicted to thinking. But at a certain point, you got to get angry and say, look, I don't want to be like this anymore. I'm sick of all this needing stimulus, needing to think. It's annoying. It's causing you suffering. You got to get angry in a sense. Angry at yourself and say, look, enough is enough. This is ridiculous. I need inner peace and happiness. And when you find your own inner peace and happiness, then you can really help other people. When you find yourself as the source of happiness, you genuinely can help others because you don't need anything from them. You're doing it out of love, compassion. You've got so much love, compassion that you want to share it with others, but you're not doing it to get anything. That's the difference. As always, I hope this video helped. Take care of yourselves, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.